I have slightly mixed opinions about the Tumbler. I've sharpened with it for 3 hours, like using it for 3 hours. And it's good for some things and really bad for others.
This is No Nonsense Reviews. Let's go underground.
The sharpener has two angles, a 15 and a 20-degree angle. The roller has one diamond plate and one honing plate. The instructions are well laid out, although slightly misleading on time expectations. And I quote, "The initial sharpening involves the crucial first removal of steel and establishing a consistent sharpening edge. This may take 5 to 8 minutes depending on the condition of the blade. Future resharpening will take less than 1 to 2 minutes." The less than 1 to 2 minutes is correct once you get that angle accurate at the 15 or 20-degree angle, but the initial sharpening does not take 5 to 8 minutes. The initial sharpening takes somewhere between 10 and 30 minutes. You may say, Kramer, your blade's probably not at the right angle exactly, or maybe there's chips in it. Yes, that's true. I have sharpened over 10 blades with the Tumbler, and not every angle is right on 15 or 20 degrees, so it takes time to get that angle. But if there's also chips in the blade, it takes forever to get a chip out with this sharpener. The reason is because the diamond is a fine diamond, which is great for finishing and resharpening something. But to establish the initial edge, it takes a really, really long time. So if you don't have another method to establish that edge, it's going to take you a long time to establish the edge. Once the edge is established, it is a great sharpener. Here are the things I like and the things I don't like. I really like how smooth the rolling is and how safe it feels. I've used this, like I said, for many hours, and I've never slipped once or come close to cutting my finger on the blade. It feels very safe. Upsides can be the downsides, but the simplicity of the only two angles makes it super easy to use. So I've sharpened all of our kitchen knives at a 20-degree angle, so I can slap that on there and roll it. My wife can do this. It took her 20 seconds to learn how to sharpen a knife for the very first time. The simplicity is a plus. Nice clean design. It rolls really well. I like that. It's just clean and easy to use. That's what I like. As well, you can get very sharp cuts pretty easily. Doesn't take much skill. Takes a lot of skill out, which makes it easier to sharpen. Okay. For the downsides, there's no angle flexibility. You can't do a 17-degree angle or 17 and a half. You can't take the sharpener and match it to the existing angle of a new knife you got. You got to redo that angle for the sharpener. Some knives, as you roll them, they slide down the magnet like this. Once the knife gets below a certain point, you start rubbing the sharpener against the magnet, and so it's not holding, so you got to readjust it and come back up. If the knife is really thin, I notice those slide down more. I think it's because there's just less magnetizing power if there's not a lot of steel on this side. Also, small knives like this one tend to have a hard time holding because you see there's one little flat area here and then the rest is angled. So for this knife, I can't even sharpen it on here. What I have done though is use this and eyeballed the angle, and I've been able to get good results with that. That does take more skill, but that's an option. On the burnishing side, there's this spiral design. And I've noticed that when you're rolling the tip of a knife, coming all the way out to the tip, sometimes that spiral will catch in the knife there and just jar it. Like, so if you're pressing in the wrong direction, it'll catch it, and that's slightly annoying. But ultimately, the worst thing is establishing the initial edge. Once that edge is established, it goes very quickly to sharpen. This one right here took me 30 minutes to establish the edge, and now it's one of the sharpest knives I have. So to make sure I stopped right when I got to the edge, I took a Sharpie and I marked the edge like this, and then you can see exactly which part of the knife is being removed. And this is a good way to establish your initial edge. So if you draw the Sharpie on, put it on the 20-degree first and see which part of the Sharpie's taken off, and then you can do the 15-degree next, just like 1 or 2 runs to see where it's taking off, and you can see which angle your knife is already closest to and then sharpen to that angle. If you're already super close to the angle, it will be quicker to sharpen. And a lot of knives are already preset at 20 or 15 degrees. So if yours is, then it's going to be super quick. But a lot of times if you've done a lot of hand sharpening, you're going to change that angle slightly, and that's what I've done with all my knives in the past, is not using a jig but hand sharpening them. Sometimes the edges are a little rounded a little more and the angles aren't perfect. So it took me a really long time with my knives to establish the new edge. That's the big downside. If you're okay with that downside, then it's a pretty good sharpener.